know that the science YouTuber Mark Rober owns a toy company called CrunchLabs.
But what you probably didn't know is that behind the scenes, he and his team have redesigned previously released toys, changing their format to improve their performance.
So today we're going to show you all the changes CrunchLabs has made so far,
testing along the way to see if these changes are actually beneficial. Starting with the box itself.
In their newest batch of build boxes, they altered the design of the box.
They're about half as thick, list the parts on the bottom instead of the side, and even change the images on top of the boxes for builds with new parts.
They contain the same information, just bubbled up smaller.
And I guess it's a matter of preference.
But we really like this new design.
Now moving on to the toys themselves, it all started back when we got this comment on our YouTube channel informing us that CrunchLabs had changed the design and instructions video of the first box on our hit list,
the coin spinner. So after further investigation, I discovered they added a small silicone pad to hold the coin in place while loading.
This pad is supposed to make the coin more stable and accurate.
But is it true?
Long story short, it is.
We won't go into the details now because I already made a video exploring this alteration, which you can go watch on our YouTube channel. Our next build box to roast was revealed to us through a YouTube short CrunchLabs released.
This is the duck game we have.
Clearly very different than the one shown here. The window is gone, a brand new scorekeeping system was conceived, there are only 2 ducks instead of 3, and even the design of the party blowers is different.
Now you can also get a much better look at the belt itself and how it works. Basically you have a belt which is driven by these rollers, and it moves the ducks along in an endless loop.
the ducks are also designed to fall back into their upright position when they go under the toy.
All in all, it's the same toy, but much more streamlined and straightforward.
Even letting you take advantage of the belt system, unlike the first version, to make it useful for other things. And in case you're wondering why CrunchLabs made all these changes in the first place, well, I asked Mark Rober this very question when we were invited out to CrunchLabs. He explained to me that once they released the toys, they would get feedback from their customers that would prompt improvements in their designs. But with the duck game specifically, they weren't a huge fan of the design in the first place, so once they had more time, the duck game received a lot of modifications.
Which version do you have? Let us know in the comments.
Now, side note here, you might be wondering, well, what about the instructions videos? Did they change those or keep them the same?
Well, it's a mix of both.
For the duck game, they had to refilm the entire video because the changes were so large. But in the other videos, they only refilmed the parts during construction where a new piece was added.
The next 2 items have very small changes,
but enough to make a big impact on the build.
The first is the mirror bank,
whose redesign was also revealed to us through a CrunchLabs short. In the original design, the toy came with this little wooden coin, which you would attach to this mirror and then slide inside the box frame to make the illusion of a floating coin.
This is even the image painted on the gear badge for mirrors.
Now this is cool, but Mark suggested in the instructions video to cut a ball in half and try attaching that as well.
Which we tried, and didn't get great results.
Now in the updated version, a half ball is included in the box instead of the coin. And since the ball creates a spherical object,
it sells the illusion of levitation much better.
They also changed the spider design and even inside walls of the box to hide the mirror lines much better.
Again, some small but very beneficial changes.
And finally we have the boomerang car, which now has an updated wheel design and silicone tubes instead of small rubber bands.
First off, the silicone tubes are a brilliant design choice.
Because the dowels holding the wheels are square, and trying to stretch a small circular rubber band around them is nearly impossible. The new design is much easier to apply and keeps the wheel much more secure.
As for the wheel design, the new version employs the help of flywheels.
Here's why that matters. If you have 2 plastic discs that weigh about the same, but one has holes in it and the other is solid, which one do you think will reach the bottom of this ramp first? Well, as you can see, it's the solid one, and it's all related to where the weight is distributed on the disc. This one has its weight evenly spread out, while the other has most of its weight on the outside. So this one will take longer to speed up because of where the weight is distributed. It's the equivalent of an ice skater pulling their arms in to go faster and letting them out to go slower. With all the weight on the outside, it's like the arms are extended, but when you bring the arms in, it's like the weight being evenly distributed. So now you can see why this one would go faster. However, if the test was to see which one would go further, the hollow one wins, because once the weight gets going, it's harder to stop. So adding these kind of wheels to the boomerang car could be a bad thing, because it would make it harder for the toy to stop its wheels from spinning and change direction, which is something it does frequently while operating.
The weight difference isn't enough to make a huge impact,
but we think it would probably be better to stick to the original wheel design so the car can easily change directions.
Oh, crap.
Thanks for watching.